Hello everyone, and welcome to another Worthian Voices interview. Today we are joined by Ben Wintour. I was actually contemporary of Ben back at Worth. We left Worth together in 2009, and Ben's been doing some amazing things since then. He's launched a charity called Steel Warriors 3 years ago, which is doing amazing things to transform knife crime into some really positive things. So Ben, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just wondering whether you can just tell us a little bit about your experience of the last 3 years and what led you to start this amazing charity.
Sure. Well, thanks so much, first of all, for having me, virtually, albeit. And it's it's really great to be able to share some of my journey with you guys. And so I was also, as Will pointed out, at Worth many years ago, and then went to university in Leeds, spent some time in advertising in China and in London, and then started my own charity, which actually started off as a campaign. I co-founded it with a colleague in an advertising agency that we were both working in at the time. And the idea really was to create a campaign that looked to bring down the number of young people who carried knives, given that knife crime is a big problem at the moment in London and still continues to be on the rise. So we wanted to explore whether we could take some of the knife steel that comes off London streets. We found out there's a ton a month that comes off London streets, and we wondered whether we could take all of that steel and melt it down and recycle it into something more positive, something that would serve the community. And we looked into the reasons why young people carry knives, two of which were people not feeling protected enough walking the streets, and the other being an issue with muscle flexing and bravado. And with gyms being expensive and parks generally being underfunded, we felt, how are young people developing that physical confidence to walk the streets unarmed? They can't go down to a local gym or afford to get into one. And also, how are they flexing their muscles? How are they getting together with friends and showing off? Well, the answer for many young people is being part of a gang. And so we wanted to create a kind of a positive movement that brought young people together and gave them the ability to develop more physical confidence and a healthy way of flexing muscles. So we took all of this steel, and with a lot of hard work and expertise that we didn't have, a lot of generous people across the UK giving up their time for free, we managed to turn about 1.5 tons of seasoned surrendered knives into a free outdoor gym. And calisthenics as a sport has been adopted by prisoners around the world as a way of developing more physical confidence in prison. And so we wanted to apply that to the street. So we launched our first gym in the end of 2017. And then since then, we decided, actually, as this is now starting to have a really positive effect with the local community, and the first gym ended up being a success. We were really glad to see in the local area. We then made plans to expand the initiative and join forces with the co-op, who've since committed to helping us get 20 gyms off the ground by 2022, which is a slightly terrifying but exciting prospect. And now we're running training sessions at each of those gyms in the local communities and trying to give young people a bit more purpose in life through sport.
Oh, I love that idea of bringing people together. And you also mentioned this idea of serving community. And I'm thinking of, those being two of our values here at Worth, service and community. Is that something that you picked up while you were at Worth? And could you perhaps maybe just speak about your experience and how that's then impacted what you're doing now?
Sure. Yeah. So I think service is definitely something that I remember was kind of ingrained to us when we were at Worth, and I think it's been a really, really important thing. And I think all of the students at Worth, we can say how lucky we are to have had such a great education, and we're in a super fortunate position. And I think too much is given, much is expected. And I think that when I was working at at an ad agency, I often found that many of my ideas that I was kind of coming up with for campaigns were about giving back to the community. And I think that was often because it was something that was developed into the way that I thought even from the early days at Worth. And one of the reasons why I decided to leave ultimately and set up a charity and then go into a purpose-led business was because I got a bit sick of developing names for, KFC's new Christmas chicken burger, and I felt like there was a little bit more to give in life, and even serving also I think helps to make you feel like there's a real sense of purpose to your work too. So I think it's super important, that part of our education, serving others.
Mm. And you mentioned there that you've recently started a sort of a purpose-led business, which I believe is around helping sort of mental well-being. Might you be able to just say, something about that, and particularly in the time that we find ourselves in, where mental health is going to be a key issue for a lot of people? What would you advise during this time, particularly for our students who are working away in their homes around the world?
Yeah, I think one thing that we're trying to do through the business, which is a mental wellbeing platform for employees called Temple, is to try to help people to look after their mental well-being in a similar way to you look after your physical well-being. I think we're all very used to, going to the gym and seeing that as a very normal exercise, whether you're physically healthy or not. And it doesn't carry any stigma attached to it at all, going to the gym, because it's very normal. Whereas when we think of maintaining good mental well-being and looking after our minds, we often think, oh, well, we must have a problem if we're looking after our minds, if we're supporting our mental health, whereas that shouldn't be the case at all. And I think we should always, healthy or not, be trying to think of ways that we can support our minds, whether that be through, learning even through the monks in the monastery about meditation, or looking at digital means of supporting ourselves. I think it's really, really important, because our brains are our greatest asset, both in our personal worlds, but also professionally and at school. And it's really important that even if we feel that we're in good health, COVID does take its toll and is starting to take its toll. So it's really important for us to think about how can we prevent ourselves from developing issues and keep our minds strong, particularly at this difficult time.
Well, thank you so much, Ben, for all that you've shared with us today. And we just want to wish you all the best in what you're doing. And thank you for your time.
No worries at all. Well, great to chat.